Tonight on Turn 5, Stephen and Clint will talk about Matt Shepard's move to Hanky Baldwin Racing. They'll also talk to two-time ESS champion Lance Yonge. They'll also talk to owner of Doug'sDirtDiary.com, Doug Elkins. And they'll speak to Christy Cottrell from MotorsportsNutrition.com and Horsepower360.com. And now, the turkeys of Turn 5, Stephen and Clint.
Turkeys of Turn 5, Clint. Who's putting this stuff out there?
I don't know, some guy.
Some guy, I don't know. We're going to have to get a hold of him. Anyway, welcome, race fans, to lucky number 7 for Turn 5's Racing Podcast.
7 is after 6, Stephen.
Yeah, I had to recount that for just a second there. We have made it up to 7 episodes. We're really excited about tonight's episode. We've got all sorts of stuff going on tonight. Local racer, Penyan racing hero in a lot of people's minds. I know in mine personally, Lance Yonge, 2-time ESS champ, is going to join us on the show tonight.
I love talking to Lance. When he comes into the store, I'll keep him there for 10 or 15 minutes just because it just feels good. You know, he's a nice guy. He loves to talk racing. He's
a great guy to talk racing, and I was fortunate enough to be able to get some time with him to do a story for Race Chaser Online. You know, Clint, the guy just completed his 30th year in racing, which is
30 years.
Just unbelievable.
And you know what's even more unbelievable than that is? It's 30 competitive years.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You know, his down seasons were 3rd or 4th in points.
Yeah, this year included.
Right, this year
Came
included.
Up 4th in points this year, so he's going to be fun to talk to. After Lance, we're going to talk to Doug Elkins, who is the founder and operator of www.Doug'sDirtDiary.com, another racing source for news and particularly audio interviews. And Doug really puts out some quality stuff. I mean, interviews that you literally can't hear anywhere else.
Go to the website, go to the search engine, type in your favorite dirt driver's name, and you're going to come up with something.
And along with speaking to Doug Elkins, we're also probably our biggest announcement, and this was a very, very exciting announcement for us to be able to make over the weekend. We have 2 new sponsors signed on to the show, and each Turn 5 Racing podcast will be presented to you by Horsepower360.com and Motorsportsnutrition.com. And Clint, that is just exciting because this is starting to become what we knew it could.
Yes. It's something that you and we envisioned it. We saw it. It was just a matter of everybody else seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think now that, you know, and this isn't even local per se. I mean, this is out there.
Yeah.
You know, this is big for us.
These are 2 businesses that are wildly popular in the Pennsylvania markets. The business is actually located out of Akron, Ohio, and it is really exciting to be able to bring Christy Cottrell and her folks from Horsepower 360 and Motorsports Nutrition on board. We're going to talk to her later on in the show so she can tell us what products, what services she offers, and really just in what little research I've been able to do, these are things that are not just things that can be used in her area or for her target marketing group being racers. I mean, these are things that could be used for anybody. So I'm excited to ask her more about that and find out what she does, what she looks to do. And I know she's looking at going out to one of the biggest PR shows around in a couple of weeks. So that's going to be exciting to talk to her about. I'm so thrilled that she believes in the vision that we're trying to carry out here. And, you know, nothing that we're going to mention, but we are working on some more local sponsors that want to come and be on board with the show. So if you're listening and you've got a message you want to get out or you've got a business that you want to promote, I mean, we are gaining steam each and every week that we have a show. I mean, we're...
Contact Steve or I,
absolutely.
Via Facebook. Stop down to Radio Shack.
Turn5podcast@gmail.com. You can get a hold of us. We're trying to push the show out there to as many people as we can. And I got to tell you, Clint, this relationship with Horsepower 360 and Motorsports Nutrition is going to put the show out there even farther.
Yeah, I mean, she's got different avenues that she's going to go about. We talked to her a little bit today during some emails back and forth, and she's already sending our name out to other places. She is PR. She is what it's about.
She's the PR queen. That's for
PR
sure.
queen. That's what you. Yep.
And she works for Ryan Smith Racing and Rob Warco Racing. So she's aligned herself with some stout talent, and we're excited to have her as part of our team here at Turn 5. So that's who's going to be on the show tonight. Let's get into some of the biggest news of the week. And holy crap, I don't think anybody saw this
crap
coming.
On a cracker.
Matt Shepard parting ways with JB Racing and the Brownell family, and is going to move over to Hankey Baldwin Racing to drive a second team car to Jimmy Phelps. And so obviously that'll be moving over to Troyers, and
new
holy
car,
smokes.
new team. But you didn't see it coming. This is one of those things that was completely out of the blue.
Yeah. I mean, anybody that says they saw this coming is telling you a straight-up lie.
Yeah, they're fibbing.
Because, I mean, it's great. It's big news. That team is going to be an absolute powerhouse. Jimmy Phelps is strong enough on his own. I mean, Jimmy's been knocking on the door of a win at Syracuse in the 200 and in the small block race. He ran great in both races this year. So it's really exciting to see what Matt could do with that team.
I agree. He's a young guy, and I say young, he's mid-30s probably, but he hasn't been at the top tier of competition. We'll say, yes, he has run very,
he's knocking on the door.
Yeah, I mean, Syracuse is one of those, you either got it or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And he likes running Syracuse.
Yeah.
And he does well there.
He loves running Fulton, too. He just won the
Outlaw
Outlaw this
race.
year.
That's right. So it seems like he's kind of had a coming out party.
Yeah.
And now look what happened.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know, the Baldwin part of the Hankey Baldwin is actually Tommy Baldwin, who owns the Winston or NASCAR Sprint Cup team.
Correct.
Winston Cup. I'm dating myself.
Oh boy.
But he's actually part of that.
Yeah. That is something that I had to educate myself about. Was Hankey Baldwin. Well, what's all the history there? And it's really interesting if you take the time to do a little bit of research on the internet and read up on these guys. And obviously, for some folks, just reading up on things and taking quotes from a driver's fan page isn't good enough. That's not good journalism.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I'm not gonna mention names, but thank you for whoever it was that sent me that comment. At least I know you're reading my material, so at least I'll give you that. What a joke, though. So anyway, so Matt Shepard over to Hankey Baldwin in 2014. No announcement yet as to schedule. And
home track,
and I really think that's going to be interesting because Fulton is back under the dirt banner. Jimmy Phelps has made no bones about it. Fulton is his home track, even though he's run at Canandaigua. Now that Fulton's back under the dirt banner, okay, does Jimmy run Fulton and
Matt runs
Canandaigua, or because Jimmy runs Fulton, now Matt's going to run Fulton? It's really going to be interesting to see how that's all going to play out. Obviously, we're going to keep our ears and eyes glued to any news that comes out as far as their schedule goes. I did read that the team is going to be based out of Weedsport, New York, which, they're Al Hankey and Jimmy Phelps are reopening Weedsport Speedway.
On a basis yet determined.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be specials only, but we'll see what happens. Nothing's been put out yet. They're still working on getting their website going and figuring out what their schedule is going to be, so that'll be interesting to see.
I mean, if Canandaigua were to lose Matt Shepard, he's got to love him or hate him, He's got a lot of fans.
Oh, sure.
People hate winners. I know from experience, hearing a guy win week in and week out, what the people yell at him from the stands.
I'll tell you one guy who's listening real careful as to what Matt Shepard does, and that's Billy Dunn. Billy will be back at Canandaigua.
No doubt.
No doubt about it. Billy will be back at Canandaigua. But if Matt were to exit Canandaigua and go to Fulton, enter stage right Billy Dunn. That could be Billy's track championship for the taking. Obviously, you've got to run all the races and figure out what happens, but I mean, the way Billy has come on the last year and a half, 2 years, with his crew chief Craig Palmieri, his dad Norm Dunn, in that number one speed shop team, and they're strong. And they're so strong there. And
let's face it, he gave Matt Shepard all he could handle at Canandaigua this year.
Absolutely, I
came
thought
down to the last night, I think, right?
It did. I think Matt, I forget what the scenario was. I think Matt had a couple point lead heading into the last night, or maybe it was Billy. But, yeah, I mean, Billy gave Matt, I really thought Billy was going to get it.
I mean, I know.
But you look at how Matt won it. Matt won the championship because he won the last two races. If he didn't win those last two races, he wouldn't have won the championship.
Right, I know because I know at one point Billy did have the point lead.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it was with 2 weeks to go, whether it was going into last night.
He had it with, probably a month to go in the season, I want to say. And Matt just came on. I mean, he won the last two races, and that was Matt's only shot at it, was to go out and run the table the last couple weeks, and that's exactly what he did. So
surprise, surprise, Matt Shepard running the table.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens in 2014. It's going to be really exciting. I'm trying to think. Not a whole lot of other real major news making headlines. We're going to go over the results of the Gobbler as our closing part of the show tonight. That was a pretty good show out there with Anthony Perego taking the win, beating Stuart Friesen, who had a shot at the Clean Your Plate Challenge. I really thought Friesen was going to get it there. As you were watching the Twitter updates, here comes Friesen. Now he's up to fourth. Oh, there's a restart with one to go. Now he's second. Friesen could get this thing, but he did fall up short to Perego's New York Truck Parts number 55, taking the win. So we'll go over the results later on. And a couple other news tidbits. The registration for Jessica Zemkin was all made official. They had announced that she was going to come to Oswego, and now all their registration purposes are all taken care of. That's all set, good to go. The Randy Ritzkis deal with the Lock Racing 37, that's all official now. And we'll look forward to more information that Dan Kapuzinski from Oswego provides us as we go on. But I think right now, we're going to cut it off and head to break, because when we come back, we've got Lance Young, driver of the 17J, waiting on the hotline. So stick around, fans. We'll be right back with Lance Young here on Turn 5. MotorsportsNutrition.com is Turn 5's official home of race day and recovery supplements. Developed for racers, by racers, with over 30 years behind the wheel. MotorsportsNutrition.com has the right Advocare supplements to keep you going. On race day, turn to healthy Advocare products trusted by NASCAR, the NCAA, Olympic athletes, and 410 Sprint Car and World of Outlaws driver Ryan Smith. Visit them on the web at www.motorsportsnutrition.com or call Christy at 330-431-9714 and tell them Stephen Clint sent you.
Kick off your holiday shopping now at Radio Shack. You'll find low prices on the latest smartphones, tablets, e-readers, plus a huge selection of must-have accessories. Radio Shack also has big savings on RC toys, batteries, plus stocking stuffers like flash drives and memory cards. And don't miss the great deals on portable Bluetooth speakers, top-name headphones, fitness gear, and more. So get a jump on your holiday shopping and start saving today at Radio Shack at 103 Main Street in beautiful downtown Penn Yan.
Hey, Brad, where do you go for your NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, short track, dirt, and World of Outlaws coverage?
I go to racechaseronline.com.
Aren't they also at Speed 77 Radio on live stream?
Yeah, they've got the Motorsports Madness Report on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock and the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Join in on the fun at racechaseronline.com and see them on Facebook. Search Race Chaser Online. All right, welcome back, race fans, into Turn 5. We are fueled by motorsportsnutrition.com and marketed weekly by horsepower360.com. Now we're going to head over to the Turn 5 hotline and bring in one of our, I would say, one of our favorite local drivers, Clint.
No doubt.
Driver of the Johnson Farms Lanes Yamaha Penyan Mini Storage 17J. Lance Yonge, two-time ESS champion. Lance, how are you tonight, my friend?
Good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. Well, you just completed year number 30 in racing. Do you feel any different yet?
I don't know. We've been talking an awful lot about that 30 years in automobile. That doesn't even count my motocross years and playing around with stuff like that. But,
yeah.
30 years is a long time to do anything. And I think the only summer that I've really taken off in the last 30 years is the summer of, I guess it would have been 91. I started off with a big block modified, and halfway through the year is when I decided to go sprint car racing. So we took like 2 months off at the end of that summer, and that's really the only time I've had off in the last 30 years.
And I know that you and your wife Kissy, she especially likes to spend time out at the lake. So maybe even spend a little more time out there too.
Well, that's for sure. It's funny because that summer is 91. We went to LaGrange Yamaha that summer and decided we needed to do something if we weren't going to be racing. So we ended up buying wave runners, which we've had for the last 20 years anyway. That we spend an awful lot of time at the lake when we can, and like to play down there as well. Well,
one thing that we wanted to do tonight, certainly anybody that lives in our area or listens to Turn 5, here in the Penyan, Dundee, Watkins Glen area, they're going to know you for probably more for your sprint car racing, in the more recent history than anything. But as you were just touching on a moment ago, your history in racing didn't start in the sprint cars.
No, it didn't. This whole thing with the cars started in 1984 in a street stock, and it was just one of them things that I wanted to get into the car racing deal, and I went to Williamsport to college, and when I got home in April that summer, I'd been going to some races down at Selinsgrove, and that's really when I got hooked on sprint cars when I was in Williamsport at college, way back in the 80s. But back then the ESS thing was just getting started, and I wasn't real interested in that, and I wanted to be at Dundee Raceway, and so we bought a street stock, ran 5 times at the end of the 84 season, and decided that wasn't quite fast enough for me. So in the winter of 84, 85, I bought a small block modified.
Well, being at Selinsgrove, it's kind of around there. It's kind of easy to get hooked on anything that has to do with turning left.
Yeah, that is real racing down there, and I still enjoy every chance I get to go down there. Of course, it's flat out racing down there. It's a little bit different, even the style down there. You have to drive differently than what you do on these tracks up here, so you kind of struggle when you go down there. You need to go there a few times to get into the groove of how they race down there.
When you first moved over to the sprint car from the modified, was it a struggle at first to get a hold of that, or did it, were you able to take some things from the modified experience over to the sprint car?
Back when I started in the sprint car in 92, you could carry over. I mean, it's totally different driving style, but the way the tracks get up here, you don't go out on a dry slick track. You just can't go out, put your foot to the floor like most people think with a sprint car. It's still, you got to connect your right foot to your brain, and use the brakes and the gas and make everything work together to keep the wheels underneath you to enable to go fast.
Well, you and I talked about it before, Lance, when you came into the store. You know, anybody can go up and drive it as hard as they want and throw it on the berm and get it to turn, but it takes a special driver to be able to run through the middle, run on the bottom, hit your marks, you know, and be able to pass cars all night long.
Especially when the track is slick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure, you know, and you need to be able to, in order to go forward with a sprint car, you need to be able to get into those, you know, the middle groove or the bottom groove, wherever. You can't just go up against a cushion, because it's like being in a train race, you know, and the guy that's in the lead is going to win. If you don't try another groove and get the car hooked up somewhere else, and some nights get very long, you're not going to go anywhere.
Now, I got to ask you, because Clint and I talked about this last week when we talked about having you on the show. One of my earliest memories of coming out and visiting you at the shop out on Johnson Road was you telling me, Steven, slow is fast. Now, is that a Lance Young coined term, or did you get that from somebody else?
You know, that term came from back when I was just kind of starting out in the small block ranks. Howard Conkey got me to go to Weed Sport, and he's kind of the one that he told me back then, you know, if you wanted to be a race car driver, you go to Weed Sport, you learn how to slow down to go fast. And that's one of them theories that I've taken with me all the way through my career. You know, even in the sprint car deal, there's a lot of nights that some of these guys, if they would just slow down, they would improve their lap times. And, you know, I always learned how to do that. There's probably a lot of nights I probably should have gone harder and not slowed down, but, you know, in order to be good on dry, slick stuff, you definitely have to slow down to go fast.
And Woodhall is another track that's that way. That's been said for years. I mean, even dating back to, you know, late 80s, early 90s, you kind of learn to race the track and not everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you can overdrive. You think with Woodhall, with those banks, that you could just drive the car in there and the car is just going to stick, but you can definitely overdrive Woodhall, and you know, that's what makes Billy Van Pelt and the guys that win down there consistently. They've learned that you know, you not to overdrive and slow down to go fast deal.
Now, in '92, you moved over to the Empire Super Sprint Tour, and you know, from '92 until now, 2013, you've only missed maybe a handful of shows, according to their records. And I mean that. I wrote down some notes for the interview tonight, and one thing I wrote was ESS, not just a tour, a racing family, and I wondered kind of what your take is on that.
Oh, for sure. You know, that's why I've survived in the deal for 22 years. You know, it's different now than it was when I first got into it. But, you know, when I first got into it in '92, from the very first race, we were always welcomed with open arms. You know, back then there was Malcolm, of course, Tom Tabor, Adrian Flath, Mike Woodring was just getting started. He started the year before I did. You know, I can go on and on. Gordy Button, just the names that have brought ESS to where it is today, and everybody opened us with open arms. And, you know, we try to continue that today, but things have changed, you know. With Steve Poirier coming into it and the money that he brings into his deal, he's got paid mechanics. I mean, he's a professional racer, you know, doing it as a hobby. And that changes the whole outlook of everything. And it's not the same anymore. It used to be where when we were out on the road, everybody stayed at the same motel. And if a guy wrecked his car bad, everybody stayed up all night rebuilding so that he could go to the next race. Today, kind of everybody goes their own separate way. You know, you get a handful of us will stay at the same hotel when we're out traveling, or, you know, it's gotten so to the point where we go to other people's houses more instead of the cost of things for motels and stuff. You spend more time at people's houses and trying to save money the way you can, but, you know, that kind of splits people up because, oh, this guy doesn't get along with this guy, so he's not going to go stay at his house and stuff like that. But, you know, It's still, I've got, even today, you know, very good friends with Chuck Hebing and Jeff Cook, and just, you know, gotten to be good friends with Michael Perrant. And when we're in Canada, we're at their house. You know, it's still a family-oriented deal, and still have very, very good friendships away from the racetrack because of ESS.
That's awesome. I there's a lot of tours around here that you just don't see things like that, and I think that's still, even though things have changed, I still think that's one thing that the ESS kind of has that feather in their cap of, guys helping each other out. I even think back to the night at Canandaigua when they had the big wreck, and nobody was sure what was going on with Paul and all of his stuff, but you guys were parked next to him, and everybody, even though Paul was being taken out in an ambulance, you guys were helping them get the car loaded, kind of get them at a point where they could head to the hospital and figure out what was going on.
Exactly. Like I said, it's one of them deals where everybody still, you may not be as close with people nowadays, but you still do what you can to help them out. That's part of ESS. And like I said, I'm so glad that I've been part of that. And, part of the whole thing, I think I've survived in this deal for so long. It started that way. I can remember when I first started out in modified deal, the small blocks at Dundee, there was John Moravik and Richie Van Kuren and Mark Osterhout and Doug Howard and Lindhoff and Malcolm. And, I can remember more than one night Steve Wetmore kicking us out of the pits at 2 or 3 in the morning. We'd all get done racing. We'd be sitting there drinking beer, having just having a good time. And, that's what racing's been all about for me. And that's why I've survived in this deal for 30 years. Not just for the racing aspect, but because of the friendships that I've made.
There's definitely lots of camaraderie, that's for sure.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Now, one thing that I wanted to touch on tonight, and I was fortunate enough to get a chance to have a sit-down interview with you for Race Chaser, but one thing that we talked about that I thought was really special was the years that you had driving for Malcolm and spending your weeks working on the cars together and traveling together. I know that was a good period of time racing for you.
That was a very special time. Number one, just to get a phone call from somebody, hey, do you want to drive my car? That's like what every racer's dream is, and that couldn't have come at a better time for us. Kissy and I had just learned that we were pregnant with Brianna, and Malcolm had called and offered the ride to me, and, it's like, well, I don't even need to think about this one,
Yeah.
It was an instant yes, so...
He can barely get it out of his mouth.
So, yeah, really, number one, to drive the Lane Yamaha car, but like I said, it came at a time that would have been very busy for me to keep my own deal going, and so everything just kind of worked out, and, it couldn't have been with better people. With Malcolm and Cindy, I spent 6 years driving their cars, and that's 6 years of spending summers together, as a family almost. They welcomed us with open arms. We used to travel in Malcolm's dually, with Malcolm and Cindy in the front seat, me and Kissy with a car seat in the middle of us with Brianna, I think, was 6 months old, and we were on our way to Ohio to race at Eldora, So, it was just, like I said, one of them, it goes back to the ESS family type thing. And, I had very good success with Malcolm. Unfortunately, I could never win him a championship, but, it's not for lack of not trying.
Yeah, and it didn't take too long after you stepped back into your own ride where you were able to finally conquer that ESS championship.
Yeah, it's ironic. I quit driving for Malcolm, or, the last year I was together with Malcolm was 03, and then 04 I went back out on my own, and, it was just Malcolm decided he didn't want to travel anymore, and actually had sold all his stuff, and then that was the year Dundee decided they were going to run sprint cars, so Malcolm ended up buying a car and racing himself. But
I remember that.
Yep, very well. I raced that. That was the year that I raced.
Yeah. So, but I was back on my own with my own stuff, and we did the ESS thing, and just had 2 very good years in 04 and 05, and was able to conquer the championship both those years.
And how, after all those years of running with Woodring and just, pressing on, and you were right there for a good number of those years, and then to finally pull that off, I can't imagine how good that must have felt.
Yeah, it was an awesome feeling. It's just a huge weight lifted off your shoulders. Like I said, when I first got into ESS, I didn't know what to expect. But then I think the first year I was there, I ended up 5th in points. the second year I was there, I ended up second to Woodring and only like 30 points out of the championship deal. So,
yeah.
At that point I knew I could do it, and it was just a matter of getting lucky enough to get the deal done, and finally in 04 we did it.
Yeah, and with all the wins, all the top 5 finishes and points, it was kind of like that. Okay, we've finally got one. It's almost like that. You've almost conquered it all now. So
almost,
yeah.
I would have liked. I always wanted to end my career like Fred Raymer did this year. Winning a championship or something like that, and I feel like I kind of got it pulled out from under me last year. For people that don't know the deal, I was leading the points going into the last race last year and won the race and lost the championship, if you can figure that one out. And
yeah,
that's kind of the reason I came back this year to try and do it again. But unfortunately, we didn't have as good a year. But I don't know how much longer I'm going to be traveling for the point deal. I've still got all the equipment. I haven't sold anything yet, and so come springtime, if everything's still in the shop, we'll be going racing.
Now, last year, if you had been able to pull off the championship, do you think that would have been it? If you'd have got the championship,
I believe I would have certainly cut back at that point. There's no doubt about it.
Okay. So, this year, to say it was a struggle is probably a little bit of an understatement. I feel like all those years that you ran in the top 5 in points, you still finished 4th in points this year, but it just seemed like you guys had bad luck right out from the get-go.
Yeah, just never got going good. I finished every race except for the one night we wrecked the car at Canandaigua. I finished every race. We were in the top 10 most nights, but instead of finishing 1st through 5th, I was a lot of 6th through 10th deals, which, you get points, but you don't make a lot of money, and you aren't in the headlines and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, in that, I couldn't ever exactly put my finger on it. I put a new car together the last month of the season, and finally the last night at Fonda, I started 13th and drove up to 3rd. Finally felt like I really had something, but of course then that was the end of the season. So, like I said, I don't know how much longer I'm going to travel. I haven't committed to anything. I haven't committed to retirement. I'm not ready to retire as a driver. I'd like to drive somebody else's car and spend someone else's money doing it. But,
yeah, wouldn't we all?
Those deals are hard to come by, so I still got 2 good cars and got a truck capable of going up and down the road, so we'll just see what springtime brings.
Yeah, that brings us up to a couple other questions that we've been mulling over, and I actually saw your mom in the store yesterday, and she goes, "Ask him if he's retiring. He won't tell me anything."
Yeah, that was one question we wanted to, not be bashful about asking you is that R word coming out? And it sounds like that's not the case.
No, like I said, I'm not ready to retire. I can still drive a race car. I know I can. I turned 50 in September, but that's just a number, I still feel I can drive with the teenagers, and like I said, it's getting harder time-wise for me to commit the time that I need to be a top runner.
Sure.
I got a 15-year-old daughter that plays every kind of sport that she can imagine, and, Kissy doesn't want to miss any of that. So, of course, they're off doing lacrosse or whatever in the summertime. They missed about half the races this year, which takes away that family aspect of things, which, one thing leads to another, and it takes the fun factor away from it. So,
sure.
That was another reason that probably my performance was down a little bit this year, just because things changed.
Yep.
And, unless I could really change that and come up with a crew guy that I was really comfortable with, that I knew would be at every race, I may still do it full time, but I haven't found that person yet, and I haven't found the sponsorship to do it yet. So, like I said, we may keep a car around and run Canandaigua, Weed Sport, Black Rock, whatever, the close stuff, and forget about running points for a while.
Well, that was one of the things that, because the 305s, I don't know if that would be something that maybe interests you in the future when you're done touring. It seems to be like it's an up and coming class, and maybe that would keep be enough to keep the racing bug in you, but keep the travel down.
Well, you know, I have mixed feelings over this 305 deal.
Okay.
I know it's huge right now. I know it's taken over. The whole country's jumping on this 305 bandwagon. But my take on the 305 thing is all these promoters want the 305 cars because there's no purse involved. I don't know anybody that's rich enough that can afford to put a race car on the track and not be able to, or, you know, not want to get some money back to do what they love to do. I've been fortunate enough that I've always done well. I've never actually made money, but I've always broke even. You aren't going to do that with a 305 car. And, you know, true, there's no traveling involved, but a sprint car, the 305 sprint car still costs the same as a 360 sprint car. And you got to put tires on the race car, and you got to put fuel in the race car, and you've got to feed it. So
okay, fair enough. No, that's,
you know, I'm not knocking the 305 thing. For some guys, it's going to be a great opportunity, but to go from where I've been down to there, I just can't see myself doing it.
Okay, well, that's an aspect that we haven't heard from anybody. We've heard of all these people promoting it, and you know, we haven't. I think Steven's talked to Daryl Ruggles, but I haven't heard that aspect of it, and I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting.
I don't want to do it to knock the 305 guys either, but I think that's the reason these tracks are. The promoters want the 305 cars. They're paying nothing. They're hoping that, you know, they know the crowds like to come and watch sprint cars. Like most of the time, the crowd's not going to know if that car's a 305, a 360, whatever. But they're only going to pay a $3,000 purse versus a $11,000 purse. You know.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well,
Lance.
yeah, and you know, just on a very basic level, you know, the tow money to go run at a local track, a weekly track, is going to be come up way short of the tow money for, you know, a Patriot Tour, a ESS Tour, anything of that sort.
Sure.
So
no doubt about it.
That's great perspective, and you know, I appreciate all your honesty and candor with us tonight, Lance. You know, this was an interview that we had circled on our calendar that we were looking forward to, because I know a lot of our listeners are going to enjoy hearing it. And before we let you go tonight, I always want to give you an opportunity to thank all the crew, your family, and the sponsors that keep that 17J going.
Well, of course, you know, without them, it certainly wouldn't be possible. First and foremost, my family. You know, my mother, father, they've been behind me 100% in this deal for 30 years. Kissy and I have been married since 1990, so, you know, she's been with me for the majority of it. Brianna, they love going to the races when they can go, and like I say, it's getting so that that's less and less all the time, which takes away from the fun factor. But you know, the sponsors that I've had, Malcolm Lane Yamaha has been on every race car that I've ever owned myself, and including when I was driving for Malcolm. So I can honestly say I think every time my race car's been on a racetrack with Lance Young behind the wheel, Lane Yamaha has been on the side of it.
That's awesome.
Johnson Farms, same deal. You know, I work on my car out of their shop. They've never asked for a dime for electricity, for heat, for rent, for nothing, you know. So without them, I certainly wouldn't have survived 30 years. Tom Pozziadlo at Mini Storage, you know, when Derek first wanted to get into racing, I helped them out quite a bit. And ever since then, Tom has helped me out with some cash every spring. So, you know, I can go on and on. Ryan Daly, he's been with me for a number of years. Kurt Shuttleworth. Without all these guys, you know, it just, none of it would be possible, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for your time, Lance. We appreciate it. Our fans appreciate it. And, you know, before the springtime, and, you know, if there's any developments, we'll get back with you again.
Absolutely. I will definitely keep you guys informed.
All right. Thanks a lot, Lance.
Thanks, Lance. It was nice talking to you.
Guys.
All right, guys. That's Lance Young, driver of the 17J, one of the local heroes here, right out of Penn Yan, New York.
I agree 100%.
Been watching that 17J ever since I've been going to the racetrack, which was, I don't know, a couple weeks after I was born.
Yeah, I mean, sitting here and he's talking about Malcolm and talking about the family, and my arms got goosebumps going. It's just awesome.
All right, well, we're going to head off to break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to the founder of Doug's Dirt Diary. We're going to talk to Doug Elkins. We'll be right back on Turn 5. Turn 5 is marketed weekly by Horsepower360.com. And Horsepower360, they know how crucial branding is for your business or product to race fans locally and nationwide. Make the wrong move and damage to your brand can be irreversible. Make the right move with expert staff at Horsepower360, and the dividends can be endless. They also develop and promote race drivers and teams like 410 Sprint Car driver and World of Outlaws driver Ryan Smith and Rob Warco Racing number 94. Visit them online at www.horsepower360.com. Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ and photo booth of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. They have the most up-to-date karaoke to make your bar or party a great event. They also have the wedding DJs that will make your wedding reception one that the family will remember forever. Contact them online at www.creeksideentertainmentdj.com or call Stu at 315-481-9700. Hey Brad, where do you go for your NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, short track, dirt, and World of Outlaws coverage?
I go to racechaseronline.com.
Aren't they also at Speed 77 Radio on live stream?
Yeah, they've got the Motorsports Madness Report on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock and the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Join in on the fun at racechaseronline.com and see them on Facebook. Search Race Chaser Online. Welcome back, race fans, to Turn 5. We are fueled by motorsportsnutrition.com and marketed to you weekly by horsepower360.com. We are headed back over to the Turn 5 hotline, bring in our second guest of the night, founder of DougsDirtDiary.com. We're going to talk to Doug Elkins. And Doug, thanks a lot for joining us tonight.
Oh, thanks, Steve and Clint. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
We actually just got done talking to a driver that told us, make sure you tell Doug I said hello. We just got off the line with Lance Yonge, so I know you and Lance have had a lot of conversations in the past.
Yeah, Lance and Kissy, great people. I got to hang out with them at the banquet a few weeks ago. Great guys. We're lucky to have him in the sport, so it's nice that he said that. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now, for any of the race fans that listen to our show and also check out the audio that you have available on your site, they had a chance to listen to a great piece you put together yesterday or put up on the website yesterday about your history in the sport. And I thought that was a great lead-in to us talking to you tonight to kind of get an idea of, okay, I would say that if you go to a dirt track in central New York, you've either heard of Doug's Dirt Diary or you've seen Doug going around getting the interviews, getting stuff that really you can't hear anywhere else. So how does Doug Elkins get to that point of doing what you do today?
Well, as you heard from the thing, I was about to be a baseball announcer as a kid, stumbled into racing, really just trying to get a resume item, fresh out of college with a broadcasting degree, and did that for 16 years, but needed a change. Was up in the announcing booth for a long time, was trying to figure out a way that I could still be in the sport, but announcing had become a little old, and just like anything, after 16 years, I think you're looking for a little bit of a change, and I was working for I was producing a radio show here in town. It had a great message, but a horrible time, 9 o'clock Sunday morning, so I figured a lot of people weren't listening to it. And I told the guy, I said, hey, if you put these things online, I bet people would listen to them and they'd love them. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, why don't you do something similar to that? And we got some backing from sportsman racer at the time, Russ Hefty. He was the one who got us going initially, gave us our startup costs, and we got the website going with some friends of mine. And really didn't know what it was going to be outside of just conversations. I got to know a lot of great people in my 16 years in the business, and we decided, let's do radio on demand. Let's do something where we could build a small studio at the house where I could work right out of my house and everything. And now here we are 8 seasons later, and we're still doing it, still having a ball. Yeah,
and that's really that. It's great that it's been able to carry through for 8 seasons. I can't imagine that at the time you started, you had any idea that it would work its way into what it's become.
Not really, no. We were just, like I said, I was doing it because I wanted to stay in racing, and I guess maybe initially I was thinking this would be a stopgap measure until, maybe I'd get back into announcing or maybe pick up some TV or something. But the more I started to do it, the more I liked it. I had a job before that, in the late 90s, early 2000s, being a producer, director, and occasional host for a daily show that we did in Syracuse at the public television station. And I liked the rhythm of a daily show. I liked doing something where people could come to you every day, and the idea of making it something that people could check out in the morning, and have on in the background, is what we originally wanted it to be. Come on in the morning while you're surfing the net, you can put a couple interviews on in the background and go that way with it. But it's been nice that that the drivers have been able to trust me, and really it's kind of evolved. At first we didn't know what we were going to do in the off season. What are we going to do to keep busy? And then we came up with season reviews, and those went well. And so, and then with the way things are going now, heck, there's a ton of stuff to talk about. So
yeah, the way things have been going recently, there's plenty to talk about around here. So
yeah, for media guys like us, there's more than enough storylines to follow at this point. So it's a good time to be in the motorsports business and be a media guy like me.
Yeah, when you first started with the site, was it hard to get drivers to talk to you or come to you with their news that they wanted to get out or anything of that sort?
No, not at all. Because the nice thing, it was actually tougher to get people to find it, I think, was the toughest thing initially. Because the nice thing as an announcer, I'd met all these guys before, and they knew me. I worked with Glenn Donnelly in dirt car dirt back then for 11 seasons before that. I'd worked on the outlaw circuit, so I knew a lot of these guys, and I'd had their trust before, because you hear a lot of things and you see things and you know what stuff to talk about and what stuff to maybe let go. So they trusted me. So really finding the guys wasn't the toughest thing initially. The biggest thing was just getting the word out. And you use forums for that. You create, different screen names and go on and, hey, I heard this great interview on Doug's Dirt Diary. Many of you guys check this out. You do stuff like that. You call friends of yours, and this is all, look for a lot of the Facebook explosion and stuff. So that was the toughest thing, was just getting the word out. But once we started to get the word out, we had a cult following initially, and then more and more people started talking about it. And the next thing you know, we've got, I think, 2,500 different drivers that we've talked to on the site.
Yeah,
that's incredible. That's good to hear.
And you go on the history, and I mean, if you go on and search Lance Yonge, you can come up with all sorts of great. I mean, we just talked to Lance, but if you as an example, go in and on DougsDirtDiary.com and search Lance Yonge, you can get all sorts of great interviews. And it's just the way you guys have that set up, where you can go in and search your favorite driver, and you can hear anything from when you started till now. I think is makes a great experience for the race fan.
And we did that on purpose. It was tougher to design the site, with a database like that within it. But the biggest thing that we thought was eventually, and we were thinking ahead when we did this initially, we thought, well, maybe the guys can use this to their benefit. And so we thought, hey, this way Brett Hearn or Lance Yonge can link directly to that page on our site. And a lot of the teams do that. So that way we could give back as well as, getting the information out for us. Because that's one of the biggest things that we wanted to do initially. And you guys know me. You've heard, everybody comes to my site knows I'm not a NASCAR fan. I could give two craps what's going on with them.
Dirt's where it's
stuff. At. What's that?
Dirt's where it's at, Doug.
Better storylines. These are guys like us. They've got jobs. They've got to fix that car. They've got to come up with, $1,000 by next week to get that transmission done.
Yeah.
It's more real. I like that a lot more. And so one of the things we wanted to do was to make sure that the drivers could use it, to further their careers as well. So that was the main reason we went with the database aspect of it. And like I said, we were thinking ahead, and I think it's worked out well, because a lot of teams are using that aspect of the site. And we think that's great. That's what we were hoping for.
How's the old bumper sticker go? Dirt's for racing, asphalt's for getting there.
Pretty much. And, the local asphalt stuff I like. I mean, Oswego's a good time. I've been down to Shangri-La, too, down there with what they're doing. But there's nothing like 3 and 4 wide on the dirt. And you give me some clay racing any day. I'll take that.
Now, you talk about getting the word out about the website. Do you have any concept of how, what's the farthest place away you've heard of somebody getting onto the site? I mean, I would imagine it stretches not only nationwide, but across the seas.
Well, of course, we're very big in Canada. We have a lot of friends there. Australia, we made a lot of strides there years ago, and obviously with Peter Britton coming over here and running with us.
Yeah.
But the farthest, well, I bet Australia, I guess, would be technically the farthest away. We have a lot of servicemen and women out in the Middle East that listen to us. We've heard from folks in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I remember the first time that somebody sent me a message on that and told me they were listening over in the barracks. I was just like, oh my God, that's great that we can remind them of what it's like back here and to tell those stories. And of course we have a lot of folks that, who were in the Northeast who moved from the area. So a lot of folks in Carolina, Florida, Texas, California, who follow the stuff around here, even though they're not here, at least they can follow it, through the website. And we get a lot of comments on that. So, but Iran and Afghanistan and Australia are the farthest, and boy, we're happy we can get them out. One advantage of the World Wide Web, right, guys?
Absolutely. We hear you on that one. Do you have, you've done thousands upon thousands of interviews. Do you have a favorite interview or someone that you've had a chance to speak to that was your favorite?
Well, there's one guy that always tends to get the best response, let's say, whenever we chat, and that's Alan Rudelavich. You guys know him. He runs Woodhull.
Oh, yeah.
Modified.
Yep.
Runs Pen Can on Friday night. And I don't know, there's just something about him and I. We get together on these interviews, and I never really know where we're going to go, but we get very silly. And we just joke with each other. And I don't know if you guys remember those old Jerky Boys telephone calls from back in the 90s. You remember those? We're always calling each other up, and hey, I'm calling about the job.
Yeah, Stephen might be a little young for that, but I definitely do remember that.
You can't do those anymore with caller ID and everything, but we get silly on those. And believe it or not, Danny Johnson, you catch him and he's in a silly mood. He is so much fun to interview, it's not even funny. I did one with him a couple years ago. He was playing hide and seek with his grandkids, and he was in the closet while we were doing the interview, and they found him.
That's awesome.
That is great.
Yeah, all of a sudden you hear, hey, guys, you found me.
Oh, that's funny.
Now, speaking of Alan Rudelavich, now he races Woodhull on Saturday nights. Now, just quote me on this, or don't quote me on this, or whatever, but doesn't he travel like 4 or 5 hours to get to Woodhull to race every Saturday night?
It's at least, I got to say, it's at least probably 3, because where he is down in Iden, Pennsylvania, I don't think there's any direct way to really get to Woodhull from there. So I would imagine it's got to be that 3 or 4 hour range.
I knew it was a long ways, but I knew if anybody knew, you would.
Well,
it's a haul.
It's funny you say that, Doug, because we live about an hour from Woodhull, and there's still no straight way to get to Woodhull from where we live.
Yeah. Been there a couple times. Love the place. That's out of all the places I've been to, that if you were to say, okay, Doug, we're going to give you a car, you can take it anywhere you want and get some laps, I'd be running some laps at Woodhull.
Yeah.
Now, every week when we talk to somebody, it seems like there's one common denominator, and that's everybody talks about racing, everybody talks about family. It's just one big family, whether it be actual family or a racing family. Now, I'm looking at Steve's notes here, and I see that you have a new PR person for your Doug's Dirt Diary.
Yeah, my daughter Allie has been doing some stuff. She's started going. She went to all the car shows with me and stuff for a long time. She's 10, and she went to probably about 25, 30 shows with me this year. And she's a lot like her dad in a lot of aspects. She's not shy when it comes to stuff like that. She was the lead in her kindergarten play, so she's done a lot of things that. When they have assemblies and stuff, they'll always give her the mic. They know she's not shy. She'll go right up there and do it. And
that's awesome.
She asked if she could do a couple of interviews, and I helped her out with a couple of them, and then some of them she just did on her own, and she enjoys it. And we're certainly not, pushing her to get into racing. The biggest thing I'm hoping is that maybe, it gives her confidence, gets her more used to not being shy. I mean, we've told both of our kids, you can be anything you want as long as it's not shy.
Yeah.
And well, they're my kids. They got to go with me to the shows, and I want them to be friendly. And but she loves doing it. They've actually played her interviews in school for her classmates and stuff like that.
Oh, cool!
So,
that's awesome.
She enjoys it, and I could see her learning over the course of the summer. I mean, hey, Daddy, 3 wide. Look, 3 wide. The little things
that's
like
cool.
that you. Battle for third, Daddy, over in turn 3, and then it just. it just warms your heart, when your daughter is picking up stuff like that. But she loves the guy, she loves the racing, and I'm just fortunate that the tracks let me bring her and let me have a lot of fun with her and be able to share that time with her as we travel all over the Northeast chasing down races. It's a great time, and hopefully giving her some great memories, for when she gets older.
Does she have a favorite that she talks about?
Well, there's only one driver that I took a bunch of pictures of her at Utica Rome once with the drivers, and there was only one driver she was blushing in the photo with, and that was Larry White. So might be her favorite right there.
There you go. That's cool. Well, and on top of all of the hard work you put into Doug's Dirt Diary, you also do a lot of writing, and I wanted to make sure that we touched on that tonight too.
Yeah, the Post Standard is a great situation, and to be 100% honest with you, if it wasn't for that, we might be looking for something else to do right now, because the website does not make a tremendous amount of money by any means. So the consistency of being able to cover racing and get a paycheck through the paper in Syracuse, the Syracuse Post Standard, is great. And they give me total freedom, which is very nice. They trust me that I know the stories and things like that. I work from the house. I don't have to go down there. And it's a great situation. It plays right off of what I'm doing, because often the quotes that I get on the interviews are the same quotes that I end up putting in the articles at a later time. So the two work hand in hand, although they're approached differently. The website is more for guys like us, more for the people who already know a little bit about what's going on, and this is like the addendum to it. It's the next, it's just like we always say, it's stuff you might have missed and stuff you won't want to miss.
Yeah.
Where the paper is different, because obviously we're in Syracuse, we're a basketball and football town, and baseball also. Racing is a little further down that list. So with the paper, I'm always trying to find something that's interesting that might get the people who aren't so sure about racing, and maybe they follow NASCAR, maybe they don't. I'm looking for the local stories that might make them go, hey, this stuff looks pretty cool. We need to go on out to one of these tracks and check it out. So it is a total different perspective that we come at it with the Post Standard, because I'm trying to make them fans and trying to find the stories that I think that the typical stick and ball sport people are going to like. And that's what makes it fun. And I have, like, my wife helps me a lot with those. I'll write something and I'll give it to her. Hun, does this make sense? Does this work for you? And she'll give me her honest opinion. And of course, the editors there, I rely on them a lot, and they always know, hey, if something doesn't make sense, if I'm talking over your head, call me, and then we figure that out. But the goal is the same as the website: to grow the sport of racing, tell the good stories that are involved in it, and do it the right way.
What is your most recent article that you have come out, and what are you working on for things coming up for the Post Standard?
Well, the next one that we've got for tomorrow, we talk about, obviously we're wrapping up a little bit of the weekend, so we have a little bit on Anthony Perego and his win, and what a great win it was. First modified win, and it's in a big race like the Gobbler down at Accord. We talk a little about the Turkey Derby down at Wall Stadium. And then most of the article is dedicated to some changes locally with the mod lights. They're going to a rules package that is more common Team USA rules, and so it will actually get rid of some of the built motors. It'll go down to 1,000cc stock motors, and I wanted to point out some different things with that. So I chatted with somebody who sells the chassis and who races, and to kind of get his thought. And then later in the week, we'll be previewing the New York State Indoor Championship. That's coming up this weekend at New York State Fairgrounds in Syracuse. That's an indoor kart race, which I don't know if you guys have ever seen those things or got a chance to ride on one, but they are just absolutely crazy fast.
I've actually raced there in a go-kart, and our producers race there too. So it's pretty wild up there. You gotta, if you don't race there, you gotta go once.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, if you haven't raced there, you gotta go there once.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to see about half the people in the grandstands try that too. I think they'd pick up a lot more respect for it if they got 8 laps out there. One of those things, because they beat the crap out of you. They really do.
I've only raced a super stock at Black Rock Speedway, so I can't comment on the karting thing. But my son wants to get in one, so
yeah. And
they're fast.
I know, Doug, you had an opportunity to go up and do that once.
The carts or cars?
Oh, with the carts up there at the indoor show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and your stock car experience, yeah.
And that was huge, because that taught me the things that you can only know, and you guys know, and you ran a super stock at Black Rock, so you know what it's like. I'd always wanted to try that. Got fortunate enough to actually run 11 shows. We finished 13th at the points. We won 3 heats. We won a feature.
Nice.
It was we were trying to prove that video games can teach you how to race, and we think we proved that yes they can. And it was the little things that you can only know by going out and doing it. And I think it's made me better at my job. But I'll tell you, I'd give it up to get back in that car in a heartbeat. Okay.
Yeah, we were going through some pictures, getting ready for our interview, and saw the picture of the night that you got the win, and yeah, I know that must have been pretty special.
It really was, because we had some tough luck in the weeks leading up to that, and actually got tangled up with a lapped car the week before and ended up finishing 6th. So, had a lot of great advice from a lot of my buddies and stuff on learning how to deal with, being out front and being the leader and how aggressive you have to be with lap traffic. And, they told me, hey, you're the leader. It's their job to get the hell out of your way. So,
yeah.
So we were more aggressive the second time, and we actually got one, and it was an unbelievable feeling to do that. I didn't get any sleep that night. So not a wink. That's
great. We'll close on a couple more questions here. One is, what is something about Doug Elkins that somebody that visits the site might not know?
Well, have you ever seen my hands, guys? Have you ever seen my hands?
I don't think so.
No, I haven't.
There are women that don't have hands as soft and supple as mine. Okay? The biggest thing that a lot of people on the site don't know is I can't do a darn thing when it comes to working on cars. Absolutely nothing.
Okay.
I remember I was trying to change a fuel filter on one of my cars years ago. I had one of those little brass filters that screws into the carburetor.
Uh-huh.
I could do this, guys, and my buddies were stupid enough to let me do it. And sure enough, we tightened the thing on too much and just broke it right off.
Oh, boy.
I don't have that feel that these guys have for tools. I was a jock growing up, baseball, basketball, football. I liked fast cars, but I didn't, certainly didn't know anything about them. Even changing a flat's not easy for me. So that's probably the biggest thing right there. But I think, if anything, the fact that I don't know how to do this stuff makes me admire the guys even more. When I see a guy and you see him in a heat race and the thing won't even turn, and he works his way to the back so fast, and then he comes back in a feature and comes up and wins. That stuff is amazing to me, the ability that these guys have, not just to fix them, but to fix them the right way, to get a car to do certain things, to put a motor together, to sit there with a big pile of tubing and cut it and put a frame together and to build a stock car. I'm constantly in awe of the skills that these guys have, and I think, if anything, that makes me admire them that much more, because you have to do all that work. I mean, we only see them on the weekend when they're having fun, but it's so much work that it takes to do these, and my level of respect continues to rise every time I talk to more and more of these guys. And obviously, after driving and seeing what it was like, the ability or the respect level went up even more. But that's the thing that nobody knows. Is I know about it. I've had some good people who've explained this to me, and I understand a lot of the stuff. But give me a wrench and have me do it. It's not going to happen. It won't turn out well.
Fair enough. Well, just like these guys have people that help them, throughout the year and get into racetracks and all that stuff. We wanted to give you an opportunity to send out a couple thank yous on your end from the website as well.
Well, obviously, the first place it starts with is with my family for letting me do this. There's times we're upstairs having dinner, and Billy Pouch will call, and obviously you want to take Billy Pouch's phone call, so you go downstairs. And so there's a lot of interruptions here at the house, and my wife is great at making sure that on race nights the kids have some place to go, something to do. My webmaster, Andy Gittler, who doesn't get paid a lot, but takes care of everything and every little problem we have. Tony Street was one of our original guys. We lost him, unfortunately, a few years ago, but we think about Tony all the time. We pray for him and hope he's okay. And all the drivers in the racetracks for trusting me to know that, that I know what to say and what not to say and how not to get people in trouble and things of that nature. So for all of them, for trusting me, all the photographers and contributors to the website, people we have that helped us get all these hits, helped us get established. Jeremiah Fish has been a great friend of mine. He's had my equipment out many times doing stuff for me. So, it's him, and it's all the guys in the media like yourself. I mean, you were down there at Syracuse, and the cooperation level that we all have at that event is something I'm very proud to be a part of. I've worked mainstream media before, and I like like the people that we work with in the racing game. So without all of their help, without them trusting me and all the sponsors that make this possible, and every single ad you see on that site, those are people that have helped me. Those are people who believe in what we're doing, and we would not be here without any of those people that I just rattled off.
Yeah. And Clint, he was talking about Syracuse. I mean, this year at Syracuse, I've been to Syracuse as long as I was, yay high. But this year was the first year I got to go and cover it from a media perspective. And the amount of cooperation between the reporters and Doug was really the guy that got a lot of us rounded up and says, okay, we're all going to get about, a few minutes here, a few minutes there with the winner. I mean, we talked to Billy Dunn. Not even, what was it, Doug, maybe 5 or 10 minutes after he won the race. I mean, the CBS Sports Network guys got to him first, obviously, but after he's done talking on the stage, Doug's got us rounded up, and we're talking to Billy Dunn 10 minutes after he won the Syracuse 200, and I thought, man, there's no way I'm going to get a chance to talk to the winner unless I wait until after the press conference and try and catch him running out the door. And it was an unbelievable experience, and I look forward to working with you guys again on that.
Well, a few years ago, before the things were getting a little crazy, everybody was trying to get their own stuff. Everybody loves exclusives. I mean, what reporter doesn't?
Sure.
But I remember Dirk Carr kind of came to us in one of the meetings and says, you guys kind of monitor this, and nobody was really taking the lead. So I figured, well, shoot, I live in Syracuse. This is my track. I'll take the lead. And so we just made sure to tell everybody, like you heard, hey, we only got so much time with these guys. Let's. If I'm doing an interview, feel free to stick your mic in with me. And if you're doing the interview, you get him first. I'll stick my mic in on your interview. And,
yeah.
I let you finish first. And then once you're done, you saw there was a lot of looking at each other. Okay,
yep.
You good? All right, am I okay?
There was a lot of great nonverbal communication going on for those interviews. And to give an example, I mean, I remember in that race, there was 2 cars that fell out at the same time. Doug went one way on pit road to get that interview. I went the other way. I think I talked to Matt Shepard, and we both met back in the middle at the media center. And I said, okay, I'll let you record what I got, and then I'll record what you got. And it was perfect. It was awesome.
Yeah, we just did it the old-fashioned ways, just holding our microphones up to the speakers on each other's recorders.
Exactly. But you know what? That cooperation makes the difference. So,
but I just wanted to say that, I've kind of had this interview circled on my calendar because I remember your name from, when This Week on Dirt was on the air. And
you remember that, huh?
Absolutely I do. And the Weekend Warriors. And I just, having you out there and what you've done for the sport is second to none. And I wanted to say thank you myself.
I appreciate that very much. That means the world to me to hear that. And now you guys are doing something similar, and you're helping the sport out too. And if we have a whole army of guys like us, I think the sports could be just fine.
Yeah, I think we feel the same exact way.
Absolutely.
So, well, Doug, thank you so much for your time coming on the show. We appreciate it, and we will certainly see you out at the racetracks. And I think we got another couple car shows coming up. So.
Yeah, I wish you guys all the best. I think it's great that you're doing this. I had some emails from some folks going, gee, why are you helping all these people out? And it's like, heck, there's more enough drivers to go around. Heck, I want everybody doing this. So
yeah.
I really, truly wish you guys all the best. I know I've talked to you, Steve, off the air and about some things. So anytime you guys need any advice on anything or if you get stuck with a guest at the last minute and you don't have somebody, just give me a call. I'll always do what I can to help you out.
All right. We will keep this number on the speed dial. That's for sure.
Have a good night, guys.
Thanks a lot, Doug. All right, Clint and everybody, that is Doug Elkins. He's the founder of DougsDirtDiary.com. Find him on the web. He's got audio interviews posted every single day and really, as he says on the site often, stuff that you can't hear anywhere else. So check out Doug's Dirt Diary, and we're going to head off to commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Christy Cottrell, our new sponsorship partner with motorsportsnutrition.com and horsepower360.com. You're listening to Turn 5. Put down that greasy dirt burger and race on over to motorsportsnutrition.com. They fuel race teams and drivers like 410 Sprint Car driver Ryan Smith with healthy Advocare supplements and products. Visit motorsportsnutrition.com. Want to build a successful driver to race team to sponsor relationship? Visit www.horsepower360.com and consult with their expert staff that is trusted by 410 Sprint Car and World of Outlaws driver Ryan Smith. Horsepower360.com.
Kick off your holiday shopping now at Radio Shack. You'll find low prices on the latest smartphones, tablets, e-readers, plus a huge selection of must-have accessories. Radio Shack also has big savings on RC toys, batteries, plus stocking stuffers like flash drives and memory cards. And don't miss the great deals on portable Bluetooth speakers, top-name headphones, fitness gear, and more. So get a jump on your holiday shopping and start saving today at Radio Shack at 103 Main Street in beautiful downtown Penn.
Hey Brad, where do you go for your NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, short track, dirt, and World of Outlaws coverage?
I go to racechaseronline.com.
Aren't they also at Speed 77 Radio on live stream?
Yeah, they've got the Motorsports Madness Report on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock and the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Join in on the fun at racechaseronline.com and see them on Facebook. Search Race Chaser Online. Welcome back, race fans. This is the Turn 5 Racing Podcast, fueled by motorsportsnutrition.com and marketed to you weekly by horsepower360.com. And Clint, it's funny that, we say that because right now we are going to get to talk to our good friend Christy from horsepower360.com and motorsportsnutrition.com. Christy, how are you tonight, my friend?
I'm awesome, guys. How are you?
We're well, thank you. We were just talking about what a great thing this is that you're doing for us and helping you and helping us and just helping everything.
It's going to be a great deal. Going to be a really, really great deal.
Well, I'm definitely excited, both for what I can do for you guys and what I do for our racers. It's definitely a win-win all the way around.
It sure is. Now, as I've kind of immersed myself in what Horsepower 360 does and what you do with motorsportsnutrition.com, Horsepower 360, now correct me if I'm wrong, but that really is the umbrella, and then things like Motorsports Nutrition comes underneath that Horsepower 360 banner.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, just in talking to you over email, I know how extensive your racing history is, but how did Horsepower 360 come about?
Horsepower 360 came about because, as somebody who grew up in motorsports, everybody is always concerned about how are you going to pay for those things that you want. That next engine, the gearbox that you would like to be able to afford, new tires, trailers, trucks, upgrades. And a lot of times racers are racers. They're not PR people. And a lot of times companies don't understand the opportunity they have in motorsports with racers. So I started putting two and two together about 20 years ago and realized that since racers usually are not self-promoters, that there has to be a catalyst between the motorsports community, both the racers and the fans, and a potential business that can use those people as a potential exposure or future customers.
And so that's what you're doing now, and right now you're doing that and working with Ryan Smith, who is now a part of Rob Warco Racing.
Yes, absolutely. That's correct.
And what's the experience been like working with Ryan? I mean, he is really one of the new. I mean, he's really a great up-and-comer, a great talent behind the wheel.
Well, I had heard about Ryan a year or two. Actually, it's probably been close to 3 years now. And I heard his name, and I just kind of kept it under my hat, and I kept hearing his name pop up. I'd open up a magazine or catch some results on the Internet, and there he'd be again. So I'd asked a few people periodically, hey, you were at this race. Did you run into Ryan Smith? And every person I spoke to always had the same things to say. He's a great guy, good racer, always help you. And the word genuine came up on more than one occasion. And those are just words you don't hear that often any longer when you are talking about racers, especially when it's your peers. So it kind of caught my attention. And I unfortunately, I have to say I do have some biases. I am connected. I've known that family for a long time. Long before Ryan was ever a thought, when his mother raced and his father raced many years ago. But that wasn't what drew me to him. It was his character. I mean, I get approached by a lot of people over the years. Hey, can you help us out with this? Can you help us out with that? We're looking for sponsors. And this is one of the few times that I really wanted to help this guy because of who he was.
Now, I can kind of get that, because Ryan was actually one of our first guests within the first couple weeks that we started this thing. And, you know, he didn't know us from Adam. And, you know, we contacted him one day, and he was right to jump on it. Yeah, sure, I'll come on and I'll talk to you. You know, I had tried to reach out to Logan Schuhart. I'm still working on that. I haven't got him yet. But I was going to wait till after the World Finals. He was headed to the World Finals that week, or maybe the week before, and he still took the time to come on with us, you know, when he's got a big supper on his plate, and he was still able to talk to us first. And I think that says a lot.
I got the opportunity to watch Ryan at the track at Williams Grove, and it was hotter than the dickens. And it just was a miserable day, and his weekend just didn't go as it was planned, you know. And he still got out of the car, put the helmet off, set it on the hood, and walked out with a smile, helped the crew with the car, and signed autographs and talked to kids and fans. And it was actually a refreshing experience where, you know, you get involved with a lot of teams, and they're there to race. They are not there to meet the public. They are not there to talk to fans. And Ryan enjoys all the aspects that the sport has to offer, not just the racing. And that's what makes him unique.
He really seems to get the whole picture, and I'm sure some of that comes from the family's background in racing, with, you know, promoting their track and getting involved with fans and everything.
Oh, absolutely.
So now I know that coming up, you're working on getting to the PRI show. That's really, as far as promotions go and what you do, I know that's a really big deal out there.
Oh yeah, PRI is one of those things. When you go to PRI, you gain 3 to 6 months of added knowledge, and if you miss PRI, you're 6 months to a year behind your competition. Okay.
Well, Clint, this was something that Christy and I were able to talk about a few days ago. We're actually going to try and work out getting a report from Christy from PRI. So that's something that we're looking forward to on an upcoming episode. So that's really exciting. Let's change gears a little bit and give you an opportunity to tell us more about motorsportsnutrition.com.
Motorsports Nutrition, as you guys had kind of touched on, I spent a lot of time, many years, most of my life in motorsports. My dad was a flat track racer. My mom, if it had a gas pedal, she was in it. So being the only child, I kind of got pushed into motorsports and loved it and just stayed there for years. And at the age of 45, I'd still be doing it if I thought I could do it and hold together physically. But I quickly learned that the older that you got, the harder it was to recover after races, that the kids were harder to keep up with, that the body just didn't act the way it did 20 years ago. Dehydration happens quicker. Muscle breakdown, muscle fatigue, and failure happens sooner. The lunch meat and cheese sandwich that you got out of the cooler in a rig isn't meeting your nutritional needs and usually sits a little heavy in your stomach before a race. So a couple of years ago, I was introduced to a company called Advocare, and they sponsor a nationwide team. They sponsor Austin Dillon, and I was kind of intrigued by the fact that at the time I was extremely overweight and a type 2 diabetic on medications. And I started the products. I did a 24-day challenge. I lost a great amount of weight. I felt amazing. It was amazing. I literally felt 15 years younger. So here I am more than 2.5, 3 years later, and I still see that benefit today, and I thought all along, gosh, if I just known about these products when I was driving, what a benefit they would have been instead of trying to drag my butt into the office on Monday after racing all weekend exhausted. Your back hurts, your shoulders are in pain, and you're fatigued. And we're finding that a lot of the products that Advocare offers, as well as certain dietary needs, can change your entire metabolism and help you actually repair while you're straining yourself. So anybody that says that racers, whether you're a pit crew or you're a driver, aren't athletes, you're crazy, because they are athletes and they do have certain requirements. And without those requirements being met, they really have quite a deficit in their day.
So based on what you just said, I probably don't have to ask you what your opinion of what Donovan McNabb said was then.
No. Anybody who makes that kind of statement makes it out of sheer ignorance, that's for sure.
I agree with that 100%. And I think Jimmy Johnson said it best. And I'm not a Jimmy Johnson fan, but he's very well spoken and he's pretty cool. But he said it best that Donovan McNabb is just uninformed. And I think
exactly.
And I follow Twitter a lot, Michael Waltrip Racing, and you may know, and I don't know if Steven knows, but Josh Wise, who is he just completed a triathlon this weekend. Mm-hmm. And one of the big things that was tweeted was they were still waiting for Donovan McNabb's time to come across.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's certainly, something that we're preaching to the choir about, because we know, I mean, we've done it. We've between myself and my producer, the co-host, we've all sat in the seat. We've all raced the cars before. We work on them. I focus more now on reporting on them. And we know what it takes to do that. And, it sounds like, again, like the things here, the Advocare products, and one thing I wanted to ask you about was something that I saw on the website. These products by Advocare are not only tested, but they're trusted by Olympic athletes, NCAA sports, NASCAR drivers, Ryan on the 410 and World of Outlaw tours. I mean, these things are things that are out there, they're safe, and they're trusted.
The Advocare products, and not all products that they manufacture are tested, but the products that are most crucial or most sought after for athletes are what we call informed choice tested. An informed choice is a third-party testing firm in the UK. So their standards are extremely high, and they do testing for a majority of these nutraceutical companies. So once you have received that informed choice stamp, and most Advocare products do have it, but not all, that product has been tested for over 209 banned substances. I sell a lot of products to jockeys where their weight and peak performance is crucial every day for 8 to 10 hours a day. And I have yet, not once, had a jockey come back with a poor test.
Wow.
Everyone has passed every single one, every single time. And we're talking probably hundreds.
That's great.
It's not something that is a fly-by-night. The company's been around for over 20 years. Their reputation is stellar, and their products, you get results every time. And it's just an amazing company. The company itself is very positive, and you just don't see many positive influences in life anymore.
Yeah. And one thing that I thought was pretty neat, too, about what you offer is the bundles that you offer for race teams, for even the smallest teams' needs. You have a bundle of those products that can fit their needs.
Those are our race day bundles, and it's for somebody who just wants to fulfill that need that day. Now, ultimately, and what we would suggest is having somebody follow a program from start to finish. So we sit down, we talk about their goals. I mean, the older we get, we all pack on a few pounds here and there, and who doesn't want their driving suit to fit a little more loose and look better in pictures?
Yeah.
But if you
Victory lane.
Yeah.
If you follow the program, the belts they're not quite as tight as they used to be. And you are able to lose weight in all the right places. Your metabolism is happy, and thus your body reacts better when it comes time for peak performance. such as on race day, on 100 degrees, wearing 3 layers of Nomax, and your body is stressed. So if you meet the stresses, you fuel the body as you would fuel the car, then obviously the performance comes.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty exciting stuff. And you know, just in talking to you about it tonight, I think another thing that I've come across is this is, although it's important for our friends in motorsports, this is not just a motorsports kind of program.
No, anybody and everybody can do this.
That's neat.
Advocare actually manufactures hundreds of products to meet, a lot of needs. And everything from weight loss and weight management to metabolism, especially women, your metabolism starts to change as your hormone levels start to change. And this is by no means a fix to, obviously, medicine, but it is something you can start to manage yourself. And if you can start to manage it sooner in life, then things aren't so hard later in life.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be a racer. I started on Advocare as an overweight, over 40 ex-jockey that, looked like an Oompa Loompa. So, the point is there was a will, and that was the way. And I've been with it ever since. My whole family is Advocare users.
No, I just showed Steven I have a business card from an Advocare associate, actually. I work for Radio Shack, and they came in to buy something, and they saw on my counter I had a drink, and they said, protein shake, and I said, well, no, it's a competitor's company. I'm not going to get on here, but they said, well, have you ever tried Advocare? Because that stuff is full, way too full of sugar. So I was just thinking, my God, I have a business card in my pocket, and and I sure do, but she's not going to be the one I'm going to go through. I'm going to go through you. Because
we always want you to go through the person you feel most comfortable with and who shared it with you, because Advocare is about helping people. And, the fact that they actually thought enough of you as a person to share that with you, that speaks volumes about that individual.
Well, I mean, I've battled the weight demons all my life, and I know there's a lot of other people that have too, and they've rode the roller coaster. And I just think from the research that I've done and from talking to you, and
I see you giving me those eyes over there. You keep those eyes to yourself. Well, yeah, that's so cool, and that positivity from that person that gave you that card, that trickles down from the very top. So,
yep,
that's great. Where if somebody's listening to this on the show tonight, and certainly they're going to be hearing our messages in the weeks to come, how can they find you? How can they contact you if they're saying, you know what, it sounds like the stuff that Motorsports Nutrition is working with might work for me?
Motorsportsnutrition.com. You can always find me there. And that is geared predominantly toward our racers, but all of my contact information is there. I do all the consultations myself, so it's one-on-one. We address your needs today, your goals tomorrow, and how you can sustain that over the long haul. And basically, I'm available 24/7, with the exception of a few hours of shut-eye here and there. But that's what we do. We want to enhance people's lives. We don't want them to just continue being depressed with how they feel or how they look. There's something out there that will help you, and we're able to provide that.
That's great. Well, Christy, we really appreciate you coming on board as a sponsor, and we certainly appreciate your time tonight. Anything else that you'd like to get out there about your message from either venue of Motorsports Nutrition or Horsepower 360?
Well, obviously the PR side of me says we definitely encourage all of our racers, regardless of who you're a fan of, to shop at the businesses and the services of those who sponsor these teams. Those people put out a lot of money to go out on a limb for these drivers and these teams. So always, if you see them at a store, you socialize at their business, say, hey, I saw your business on so-and-so's card. You will make that sponsor's day. And from, obviously, the nutritional side, the more people I can help, the better. You don't have to break the bank to be healthy, but you do actually have to make a choice to make a change. And if you're willing to do that, we're willing to help you.
That's those words carry a lot of power, and I thank you again for that. Thank you for what you're doing and working with us, and we hope that us doing this weekly show can do your businesses proud. So thanks again, Christy, for your time.
I hope our support helps perpetuate your business.
Well, we appreciate that, and we are certainly going to steer everybody we know over to motorsportsnutrition.com and our driver friends over to horsepower360.com. So
awesome. I appreciate it. And we'll hear from you guys from PRI.
Absolutely. We are looking forward to that.
Yeah, I can't wait.
We will make the arrangements to make that happen. Actually, you speak of that. When is PRI? I know it's got to be coming up soon.
Oh, you are going to put me on the spot, aren't you?
Oh.
It should be the 12th, 13th, and 14th. It's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday show.
Okay.
Online registration through PRI has officially closed. So if you are going to come to the show, you need to contact them to verify that you have the proper credentials and verification to get into the show. You have to be associated with a race team, race business, or retail business of racing, stature of some sort in order to get in.
Okay. That's great.
I think we cover that on a couple levels.
I think we could cover that on a couple levels. We, every time we do a show, Clint and I say, well, we got to add that to the calendar. So I think it's a little too late to add PRI this year, but maybe we'll make PRI next year.
Yeah, the PRI is a must-do. Even if you just go as a visitor, the experience is well worth the trip.
Yeah. Well, and certainly I think anybody that meets you at PRI is going to feel the exact same way. And again, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, and I have enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right, Clint. That is our friend Christy from horsepower360.com and motorsportsnutrition.com, proud presenting sponsors of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. You'll be hearing their message throughout each and every episode over the course of the next couple of months. And again, those websites are horsepower360.com and motorsportsnutrition.com. Clint, we're going to head off to break, and we come back, we're going to put a bow on it. We're going to get ourselves out of here tonight. You guys are listening to Turn 5. Creekside Entertainment is the official DJ and photo booth of the Turn 5 Racing Podcast. They're currently booking for the 2013 Christmas holiday party season. They're also booking 2014 and 2015 weddings. If you need a DJ or a photo booth to make your wedding or party a memorable event, contact Creekside at www.creeksideentertainmentdj.com or call Stu at 315-481-9700.
Kick off your holiday shopping now at Radio Shack. You'll find low prices on the latest smartphones, tablets, e-readers, plus a huge selection of must-have accessories. Radio Shack also has big savings on RC toys, batteries, plus stocking stuffers like flash drives and memory cards. And don't miss the great deals on portable Bluetooth speakers, top-name headphones, fitness gear, and more. So get a jump on your holiday shopping and start saving today at Radio Shack at 103 Main Street in beautiful downtown Penn.
Hey Brad, where do you go for your NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, short track, dirt, and World of Outlaws coverage?
I go to racechaseronline.com.
Aren't they also at Speed 77 Radio on live stream?
Yeah, they've got the Motorsports Madness Report on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock and the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Join in on the fun at racechaseronline.com and see them on Facebook. Search Race Chaser Online. Welcome back in, race fans. We're about ready to wrap episode number 7 up. Clint, I don't know how we did it, but we've gone almost an hour and a half already.
Yeah, well, I can tell you how we did it. Great people, great interviews, a good time.
Yeah, I mean, this night has just absolutely flown. Had some great interviews on tonight with Lance Yonge, Doug Elkins, and Christy Cottrell from Motorsports Nutrition and Horsepower 360. I know that both Doug and Lance's interview is going to be extremely popular with our local crowd, and I'm proud that we were able to bring Christy on tonight to help convey her message and get her business's name out there. And it's just going to be it's going to be a great deal for her side and our side going forward. It's going to be awesome. But let's look over the notes from. We actually have race results. No crickets this week.
We do have race results. No chirping.
We've got results from the Gobbler that took place at the Accord Speedway this past weekend. They had their 50-lap modified show. They had
25-lap sportsman.
25-lap sportsman race, and they also had the pure/street stock race.
The Pumpkin Pie 20.
The Pumpkin Pie 20. You got to love that. And they had a really impressive car count. I think the car count was 103 or 108 cars spread across 3 divisions. So that was pretty awesome to get that kind of turnout. They had 42 modifieds come out.
Yeah, it was like 42 modifieds, 38 sportsmen.
Yeah.
And right around
23 pure/street stock cars, I think it was.
Yep, so 103.
That's awesome. That's an awesome turnout. I mean, you think about it. November 30th. Are you kidding? I mean, I couldn't believe they were able to get this show in at all. But
because they had the big winter storm coming. But fortunately, the snow and the rain stayed most west of Accord.
Yep. So it was good. So in their 50-lap modified feature, now remember, they did have a Clean Your Plate challenge up for a driver who could win his heat, win the Dash for Cash, and then win the feature event. And Stuart Friesen came up one spot shy of taking the Clean Your Plate challenge. He won his heat, he won the Dash, but he finished second in the feature, and he finished second to Anthony Perego.
First career modified win.
Yep. He just started running the modifieds in August. I mean, that is just unbelievable. I mean, he had a stout field he had to beat. Listen to the top 5. Perego takes the win. Stuart Friesen second. Bobby Varon third. Mike Mahaney fourth. And Andy Bicchetti fifth. I mean, there's no slouches there.
No.
And he beat them all.
Yeah, I mean, and you look down through. I mean, Jackie Brown Jr. is good down there. Rich Ricky Jr. I mean, there's a lot of names. Tyler Dipple, the hottest teenager going.
T-Mac was there. Had some bad luck early on in the race, but
Bob Henry, he won at Black Rock.
He won at Black Rock. That's correct. Yep.
Now look through some of the names that did not qualify. Richie Urich.
Yeah.
Tyler McKee. Dylan Scribner. I mean, these guys are Jeff Hetzler.
Jeff Hetzler. That was one that stood out to me. Yeah. So pretty impressive. 6 through 10 there was Nick Rochinski, Danny Tyler, Jackie Brown Jr., Danny Creedon, and Elmo Rickner rounded out the top 10 there at the Gobbler. And not a bad payday either for Perego. In winnings and lap money, takes home $7,732.11. That's not a bad payday for a 50-lap show.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's okay. Pretty good there. Dash for Cash was, again, won by Friesen. Bicchetti was second. Mahaney was third. Danny Tyler fourth. And Perego finished fifth. Picked up $50 for finishing fifth there. Then in the Sportsman, the Turkey 25, their feature, Rocky Warner picked up the $1,500 win.
The Flying Squirrel.
The Flying Squirrel brings home the win in the Turkey 25. Danny Tyler was second. Brad Zalewski was third. Anthony Perego, modified feature winner.
And just to say, we just heard that name.
Yep, came home fourth in the Sportsman. First and a fourth, I'll take it. That's a great payday. Tyler Boniface was fifth. 6 through 10 was Derek McGrew, Greg McCloskey, Davey Werber, Shane Jablonka, and Dave Constantino rounded out the top 10 in the Sportsman. Again, another stout field for those guys, too. You look across some of the guys that didn't make it into their field. I mean, all of the classes really had a pretty competitive field, and it took a lot to either make it into the modified or the sportsman feature. Now let's switch over to the pure and street stocks. The Pumpkin Pie 20.
The Pumpkin Pie 20.
I just love the name of that race. That's awesome.
And it's all fitting because it was the mashed potato 50.
Yep.
And it was the turkey 25 for the sportsman.
Pumpkin Pie 20.
And the Pumpkin Pie 20.
And you know what? Hats off to Brett Dale, who promotes these special kind of shows. He does a fantastic job. There's a guy who knows what promoting is all about. Mm-hmm. It's not about hanging up flyers. It's hanging up flyers. It's going to the racetrack, talking to drivers, picking up the phone, and calling drivers and saying, "Hey, come to my event. We're laying out $7,700 if you can win, and $10,000 if you can win the heat, the dash, and the feature." So hats off to Brett. I mean, just an outstanding job.
Yeah, and they were giving away hot cocoa to people in the stands, and
giving away hot cocoa, coffee. I mean, just outstanding. His updates during the week, because the rest of the state was getting a winter storm, and he was keeping everybody updated, which was great.
Yeah, he told everybody all week, we are racing.
Yep,
this is on.
Don't
make any other plans.
There was no doubt about it. Pure street stock class, 20 laps. Charlie Hoteling took the win there. Ray Tarantino finished second. George Deckelman was third. Jim Mayer was fourth. Kevin Skelly was fifth. 6 through 10 was John Wojnowski, Jeremy Durer, Joel Mearns, Kyle Wright, and John Miller rounded out the top 10. So
look down through there. Allison Pierce, Woodhall regular, made the trip down.
I see
didn't
that.
have very good luck by the looks of it, but she went down.
You know what? She was there.
That's right.
And I know that I saw something on social media about her getting to meet one of her heroes in Tim McCready. And, there was a nice picture of Tim and Allison next to her car. I just think that's awesome. It shows how awesome a lot of these local racers are. I mean, Tim being from up in the Watertown area, but as far as the dirt modified guys go, couldn't find a nicer guy to do something like that. So I thought that was really neat.
Yeah, and I think you were telling me that, when she went up to Tim to talk to him, they were up by his race car, and she wanted to get her picture taken with him. And he said, "You know what? Let's go down by your car. We'll walk down to your car. We'll chat on the way down, and then we'll take the picture down by your car."
For a young racer, what a thrill that must have been. And speaking of thrills, if you hadn't had a chance to see, make sure to check your listing, see if they're going to run it again during the week. But talk about thrills, my goodness, what an awesome production CBS Sports Network did of the World of Outlaws at Rolling Wheels. Aired last night at 9 o'clock. Very well put together show. Donnie Schatz took one of his 22 or 23 wins on the year. Just amazing.
I don't know. We're going to have to call DirecTV and tell them that it needs to be part of the standard package.
Absolutely, man. We got to get that tightened up. Got to call DirecTV and get that tightened up. Reminder, this coming week, Sunday night, 9 o'clock, you don't want to miss the Syracuse 200 and CBS Sports Network's coverage of that. Will start at 9 o'clock. Check your local listings, and if you have DirecTV, call them up and tell them to get their plans tightened up and get your CBS Sports Network, because you don't want to miss any of that. I know we haven't missed any of it here at Casa de Pork Chop, so...
Yeah, there'll be a Sunday where I'll come knocking on the door and say, "Hey, Steven, it's the middle of winter. We haven't seen any racing.
That's right.
Let's roll the DVR."
Absolutely. So they got 3 shows left. They've got Syracuse 200 and then both nights of the World of Outlaws World Finals coming up in the next couple weeks. And that'll take us right in through Christmas. So, I don't know, Clint. I think we pretty much covered it all tonight. I mean, we had news.
Covered it all plus some.
3 awesome interviews. I do want to send shout-outs to our presenting sponsors, motorsportsnutrition.com, horsepower360.com, and then the rest of our sponsors that help us bring Turn 5 to you guys every week. Creekside Entertainment, Race Chaser Online and Speed 77 Radio, and Penn Yan Electronics, and the Radio Shack dealer right here in Penn Yan. They provide us with a nice cell phone booster so that all of our driver interviews are going to come in crystal clear. And thank you to Jim and Clint and all the guys down at Penny and Electronics for helping make that happen. That is really going to help us make sure that we keep our show at a high level.
You're welcome.
All right, guys. For Clint and for Brad, for Lance Young, Doug Elkins, Christy Cottrell, motorsportsnutrition.com, horsepower360.com. I am the host of Turn 5, Steve Ovens, saying, race fans, be sure to check it before you wreck it.